Greetings, students. This is Smartboy Finkypantz, and at the moment I was getting set up so I could teach you lot to not be stupid in all the ways that's important. So what I was gonna do is I'm gonna. Oh, what's it doing that for? Hold on. What was it doing that for? I want this to be big. No, that's not what I want. It's not doing what I want. That's what I want. There we go. That's more better. Right, so I was getting underway. I still have some stuff I've got to do. I've got to make sure I'm looking at all the questions that you lot asked me. And I was going to see if I could answer them. Until I do that, then I want you lot to tell me if I was being too loud or being too quiet, and tell me what you're thinking. I ain't seen no one looks like they's here yet, so he's gonna wait for a minute, and hopefully not too many gets is gonna cause no problems, and make it so that there's like delays. You lot need to get in here so that you can be smart, and I can teach you all the important stuff stupid humans need to learn in order to not be stupid. Also got a load of questions, and I was going to do my best to try and answer them. Looks like we got 5 people listening. But ain't no one said they's here. So first things first, we've got to do. Oh, there we go. We got Eric Rayner. He's here. All right, we're gonna go ahead and do roll call. All right, so we got Eric Rayner. He's here. No one. He's here as well. Who's the strongest emperor? The Yumi Emperor. That's a stupid question, but I was gonna get to that in a second. Just making sure you lot is hearing alright. Is I too loud or is I too quiet? How's it sounding? Because I was always figuring that it ends up being too loud when I listen to it back. Even though I was listening to myself, for some reason what I'm hearing is always a lot quieter than what shows up to you lot. Before we get started, tell me if it's too loud. Everyone's saying hello. Benzo is here. Silver Trimmer is here. CBT Enthusiast is here. Zachary Weaver is here. Oh, we got 2 wrench wielders. Sounds like I'm fine. Glitch Meme is also here. Alright, none of you lot is late. That means none of yous is going to get exploded. A little bit loud. Alright, I'll turn it down a little bit. How's that? Is that any better? How's that? Lil Wod's the Night Lord. Golly Bolly. Miles O'Halloran. Alright, so that sounds good. Alright, because it's always weird. Like, I listen to this thing and it feeds back into me so I can listen to myself, but it don't tell me. For some reason, what I'm listening to is never as loud as what you lot can hear. Alright, good. Alright, so the very first thing, you lot all got homework assignments to come up with good questions to ask me so I could get all that stupid out of you. And then, of course, I'm going to answer more questions. Now, some of you lot were supposed to do these questions, were supposed to ask me these questions yesterday. But some of them I didn't get until this morning, and I ain't had time to read nothing about them. So he's going to go through all the different questions that you lot asked about. And then if you lot want to, you can ask your very own questions But one of the things that people do keep asking, I might skip to that one first, is questions about the Emperor. Let me see if I can find, because a bunch of people has asked about what the Emperor thinks, and because it's like, who's the brainiest, which boys is, oh, that's a different question. That's one for which Yumi brainy boys do the orcs think is smartest. Where's the one about the Emperor? I don't see it on here. Alright, but it don't matter. One of the things, I think I'm going to start with that. Yeah, you lot has already asked me questions. Wait, because you lot were supposed to ask me questions earlier. I put up the question in the community tab, and you lot were supposed to ask questions. We'll do the questions you're asking right now later. Alright, we're not doing too bad neither. We got 19 people listening. And I want to welcome all of you to Smartboy Finkypantz, Big Brain School for Small Brain Yumis. You lot is a new class full of small brain Yumis what need to get big brained. And I think talking about the Emperor and what the Emperor believes in and why we here in the Imperium doing all this stuff, it's probably important to know why we're doing all this stuff. Because I don't know if you lot know this, but most orcs, if they see Yumis, is just gonna crump them. They're just gonna smash them up real good. And you know, maybe there'll be a good fight. Maybe the Yumis will come out and bring some nice ducker, nice tanks or you know, infantry fighting vehicles. That's real good, and then we can kill them and do all this stuff. So, how come the Imperium ain't like that, or at least not all the time it's like that? Because there's plenty of getters Yumis that we stop flat and take their stuff. So why did the Emperor decide that we's not going to just snick all the Yumis, that we's going to have the Yumis do Yumi jobs? Yeah, it's a good point, Eric Rayner. Eric Rayner and Zachary Weaver, they is me assistant in all this. So make sure you like the stream. Because then other stupid Yumis can come here and make sure they learn real good. And I know there's 19 of you watching, and we only got 8 likes so far. So we're going to make sure that goes better. There we go, get that stupid error off there. Alright, so getting back to the point of the whole Imperium, you got the Emperor. Now, the Emperor was just another one of the boys. But he was fighting Yumis, and then something happened. We don't really know what happened to the Emperor, but he got done with fighting some Yumis on a planet where all they did was build big buildings to the Emperor, the Yumi Emperor, the dead Emperor, and talked about how great he was. And so something about being there got the Emperor the idea that Yumis could do some stuff that orcs couldn't. Now, orcs is made for fighting. We can fight, we can shoot, we can scrap, we can take a hit, and we love it. Ain't nothing better than scrapping and fighting and killing and crumping and smashing stuff. Orcs love to fight, we live to fight. And in that way, orcs is the best in the whole galaxy. Ain't no one love a scrap more than the orcs. Even the fighty chaos boys, what all they wants to do is fight, they ain't having that much fun. Mostly they's miserable unless they's fighting. Orcs need fighting the way Yumis need food and water. We need to fight in order to live. So, looking at that, the Emperor realized that there's still stuff that needs to get done that ain't fighting. You still gotta get the grots to raise the squigs, the snotlings to raise the fungus. You still gotta get all this stuff to the front lines to make sure all the orcs is fed, make sure we got all the Bernie juice to put in the burners and also in all of the vehicles. We gotta do all this stuff. And you know, quite honestly, most orcs can't be bothered to do all that stuff. It's boring. There's so much boring stuff that needs to get done, but if this boring stuff is done, then orcs fight better. If we can get orcs to where the fighting is faster, if we can get, trucks and battle wagons and tracks and stompers and everything to the front faster, then we'll kill and win and fight better and faster and good. So that's sort of the thing, is Yumi's can do what is it called? Battlefield intelligence. That's what they call it in the imperium. Yumis can like learn stuff and do what's it called? Logistics. And do all the boring stuff that orcs don't have no time for. Now I was a smart boy, and I could do that kind of stuff. I can do numbers and figures. I can figure out shipping manifests if I want to. I can count higher than 5. I could do all sorts of different stuff. But there ain't enough of me. There ain't enough smart boys. Which is why getting Yumis to be less gittish and getting them useful so they can use their brains is what the Emperor wants. Alright, you lot got that? Say it back to me in short talk. I'm making sure you lot is paying attention. And then I'll look and see you lot got questions. Yeah, Niels Ebsen. Eric is here. Hawkins, I don't want to hear no back talk, or else you's gonna go sit in the corner. And the corner just happens to be where the squig pit is. And the squig pit just happens to be full of squigs. And the squigs in the squig pit happen to have not been fed recently. Yeah, Yumis are good at grot work, but like smart grot work. You can get grots to be clever and stuff, but Yumis is also bigger. They're a little bit different than grots. Grots, you get them to do stuff, kicking them and mashing them around. Yumis, if you want them to do something that's complicated and smart, they don't do so good if you just kick them. Though some Yumis need a good kicking. Yeah, there we go. Emperor likes Yumis because they do the boring stuff. Yeah, you is paying attention to Shark. Gold star for you. Not enough orc smart boys Yumis good at doing the boring stuff. Alright, so you lot is paying attention. Alright, so that's that one. Let's go take a look and see what the other questions is. So that's that one. I sort of answered the question of why does the Emperor deal with Yumis and what sort of stuff does the Emperor think. Well, the Emperor definitely, what he wants to do is he wants to take over the galaxy. And he thinks that with Yumis and orcs working together, then there ain't nothing that can't be crumped. And this is the Green Emperor, not the Dead Emperor. The Dead Emperor thought that only Yumis could take over the galaxy. But the problem is, Yumis is too gittish, and they start fighting amongst themselves. And they don't have lots of fun fighting against themselves the way orcs do. They get all mad and weird, and then they don't do nothing, and everything falls apart. Which, is also a bit like orcs, but, I'm getting off topic. Alright. Now, I'm going to go through these list of questions. I'm going to go start with the other questions. And if you lot got questions, you can go ahead and ask them. If you want to ask them and make sure that I see them, and make sure that I respond to them, you can drop a few teeth in the bucket, and yeah, then I'll take a look at your question more firster instead of laster. Alright, so got one question. This is from Mig Riv, or MIGRIV /P. And he wanted to know how more orcs come about. Because I know there's a way that the way that humans make more humans is different from the way orcs make more orcs. Alright, so when an orc exists, that's how you make more orcs. That's it. We make more orcs by sporing. And you know how with a Yumi, you need a boy Yumi and a girl Yumi, and they gotta love each other, and they gotta figure out how they gotta do all this other stuff. No, orcs just gotta, we just make more orcs all the time. We's always sporing, and the only way to spore a lot is if you die. The only way to do that is if you die and don't get burned by the fire. So, yeah, if you wanted to know about where orcs come from other orcs, and they come from other orcs all the time. Alright, so got a thing from Niels Empson, and he asks, go ahead. Yes. Professor, what is this Horus heresy? Come on now, you all know what the Horus heresy is. Ain't you ever wondered why the Emperor's missing? Right, so the Horus heresy was Horus Ludakill, was the biggest and baddest of the Primorcs. And Horus, with some bad advice from Erebos, the biggest git that ever was, Erebos was with Orkgar. He was Orkgar's git, and Orkgar was a big git too. And he talked Orkgar into being especially gittish, and then Orkgar talked Ludakill into being real gittish too. So then there was a bunch of boys what joined Horus Ludakill with Morktarian and Orpheus and Omegrog and all the rest, the angry one. They all decided that they was going to fight against the Emperor, and they lost, except that the Emperor went missing. He's somewhere, and someday he's going to come back. But you lot should have known that, cause it's in like, I don't think no one ever read that one. No one wrote a book about it, cause writing books is stupid. You lot write books. Whatever happened to Squiggersmund? I think it means Snickersmund. He fought the Battle of Ishkvork 5 like a proper orc, but what about after? Well, they say he's still around, and they say he's still fighting what he calls duels, which means he just keeps fighting and killing. And as long as he thinks he's still in a duel, then he's gonna keep winning. But if you convince him that he's maybe like in an open battle, or that he's in an ambush, or you convince him that he's not in a duel, then he's probably not going to win. Oh, he's still out there. He's still out there with the with his Oracle Dawn boys, but that's different. I don't know. I ain't seen him for a while. Right, so let's see what more questions you've got. So someone, Eumius wants to know what Smartboy Finkypantz thinks about that big orc get in the Skelly Boy Museum in his lads. Right, so there is this Skelly Boy by the name of, what's his name, Trazen. And Trazen says that, hold on, I gotta say who said this. Yeah, I did say it was Eumius. But Trazen, what he does is he takes stuff and he puts it into the freezy box, in the stasis. And what some of the rumors says is that he's got the biggest orc that ever was. He's got a really, 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 really big orc. The biggest and greenest orc ever. And I don't think that's true, because if it was the biggest and greenest orc ever, how did he catch it? Huh? So I don't think it's real. I don't think he's really got the biggest and greenest orc ever. Because the biggest and greenest orc ever ain't going to be stopped by those Skelly boys. It's too big. So do the weird boys say about the Emperor's potential return? Oh, well, we think he's coming. They've been hearing his voice. So maybe he might come back soon. They think he's stuck somewhere, but they ain't found him yet. Alright, we got a tech priest. I don't know if I want to answer this question. But alright, go ahead. Query, where do you keep the Yumi books? That ain't none of your business. But mostly I'll just, have me different smart boys that work for the Smart Boy School to organise them and put them somewhere. Mostly it's around. I guess you'd call it a library. Probably, right here in the school. Where else would it be? Alright, let's see. What other questions we got? Alright, so Brilliger asks, I would like to hear thoughts on which orcs were the brainiest boys. I would also love to hear my thoughts on the empty but deep sounded wants to know about something, I don't know, a new thought movement. I'm going to talk about who the brainiest boys are, because he's talking about something else that I do not know. I don't know anything about the new thought movement or this book he's talking about called The Secret. I don't know nothing about that. I ain't read it. But there's plenty of stupid Yumi things I ain't read yet. As far as the brainiest boys, I assume you mean like the smartest Yumi boys. And let me think. Who's the smartest Yumi boys? Nietzsche's kind of smart. The Stoics is kind of smart. Confucius seems like he's kind of smart. Who else is kind of smart? I don't know, that's kind of... who else? Genghis Khan's pretty smart. I think the Yumi Emperor's pretty smart, but he's also pretty stupid too. I think the Emperor, the Yumi Emperor, is probably the smartest and stupidest Yumi of all time. Sun Tzu is kind of smart, but Sun Tzu and Confucius both say the same thing. They say you can't do stuff when you're angry. And I don't know, it seems like we orcs have been doing pretty good being angry most of the time. So, alright, I'm going to get to your questions. I want to get the questions that got sent earlier, because I got a list first. We'll get to your questions eventually. You got to be patient, because you were supposed to send me these things earlier. So Omar, Colealot, I don't know if I'm saying that right. But he asks, what do I think about Napoleon, and what are my thoughts on the Bronze Age collapse? Well, those are two very different things. I don't know if you lot know this, but Napoleon don't got nothing to do with the Bronze Age collapse. Oh, we got someone throwing teeth at me. Hold on. We got the incoming transmission. Come on. Go, say what you want, Yumi. Where are the Xenos? I shall purge you in the name of the Emperor. Also, can you sign this autograph? No. Go away. Or else I'll stomp you. Or come here, and we'll get a good scrap going on. But I've got to teach these Yumis to not be stupid at the moment. So, yeah, go fight the fleets of Earth. Sounds like a good time. Yeah, go kill it. Go kill him. If any of you Yumis is in the Ashmiller Grottom, you lot is excused to go and kill this Inquisitor Get Yumi. Alright, I'm going to finish what I was going to say. So, Napoleon and the Bronze Age collapse. Napoleon is a pretty smart war get that came from a place called France. And at one point, the boss of France was a great big get. And so, all of the Yumis in France was like, we don't like that great big get, let's kill him. So, there was some stuff that happened, but eventually they killed the French boss, Louis the 16th. He got his head chopped off, and then this Robespierre get was in charge, and Robespierre was really, really good at chopping people's heads off. He chopped off a lot of people's heads until they chopped his head off, and then the people got bored and said, no, we got rid of a king. We got rid of a king boss. We need a new boss. And they said, well, what if we got an emperor boss? Yeah, let's do that. That sounds better. So then they got this Napoleon get, who was really good at fighting stuff. And he beat all of the other bosses around. And it took all of the bosses all working together, all mobbed up, to eventually stop him and defeat him. But he was pretty much undefeated in battle for a really long time. But he made a few mistakes. He decided that it was a good idea to take a big zogging army all the way into a cold place without proper food and clothing. He tried to go into Russia, and that was really cold. So all of his boys died. So, not smart enough to conquer everything like the Yumi Emperor did. but smart enough to be a problem. Alright, got some teeth here from attrition. What do you want, Trishan?
Yeah, here's extra teeth, for my absences.
Now that is a smart student who is not going to get fed to the squigs. Alright, go ahead and take a seat. Alright, and then there's the Bronze Age collapse. See, this is the thing, like, no one really knows why it happened. But essentially, there were all these Yumis and they had, you know, civilizations in the Bronze Age. And most of it sort of centered around trade around this one sea. It was the Mediterranean Sea. And, you know, everything was going pretty good. But then there were these Gits that was just called the Sea Peoples. And the Sea Peoples raided and stomped all the Gits. Now, what I think happened was some orcs got teleported onto the surface of Earth, on old Earth, what do they call it? Oli Terra. And they came and stomped all the Yumis. And then, you know, got teleported off. And then once all the Yumis got stomped, they got bored and just left. And that's why the Bronze Age collapse happened. Let's see. We got some more. So I got one from the Maxims. Zelaban is asking about the earliest Yumi books we have a full copy of. The Maxims of Fatah Hotep. And I ain't never read that. And this one only showed up 2 hours ago, so I ain't had time to read it. Let's see. Slavic Shautarkwan wants to know about Machiavelli. Machiavelli is all about being cunning. But the thing about Machiavelli, when you read about him, he's like, he basically says, backstab everyone, lie about everything, and then win. And the thing is, I don't think Machiavelli was saying this stuff all serious like. He was more trying to point out that all the bosses are gits, and they ain't scared of being gits. So it's more like what he mostly writes about in like The Prince, especially if you read about his plays. That he's not all about, you know, being a ruthless git. That's not what he's endorsing. He thinks that that's a bad thing to do. But he kind of has a cynical outlook. So it's kind of satire. It's kind of being cynical. But I think so he's either saying you got to be gittish, or he's making fun of gittish boys. And if he's making fun of gittish boys, that's fine by me. But I think most of what he says is what the Yuis call satire, which means he's not being serious about what he's saying. He's saying one thing, but meaning something else. Right, alright, so that's me thoughts on Machiavelli. If he is indeed, you know, saying, what do they call it? They say tongue-in-cheek, that he ain't being serious, then I think that's good. If he's not, I think he's mostly just being giddish. Because if you're so worried about lying and twiddling around and mucking about and doing all sorts of what they call court intrigue, you're just being a git. You're just wasting time. Just kill your enemies. Stop mucking about. Alright, I got one from Jick1 or JIC1. Wanted me to talk about Blazing Saddles. You're late. You missed everything. We talked about stuff. Maybe you could copy somebody else's notes. Alright, but Blazing Saddles. Blazing Saddles is this It's sort of like, you know, the stories that the orcs tell about the olden days, except it's a moving picture. And it's really, really old. And it's from when Yumis was even stupider than they are right now. Because Yumis are stupid because, you know, you gotta believe in the Emperor, and you gotta believe that there's a little man in your machine that does stuff, and you gotta believe this thing, and you can't do that thing. This whole planet of Yumi's gotta get fragged because we don't want these other gits to frag us first. It's a bunch of stupid stuff. So we think that Yumi's today, that the Yumi-perium is stupid today. What's really stupid was the Yumis back in the day, because way back in the day, Yumis didn't like other Yumis for stupid reasons. It'd be like, I'm a Yumi. He's like, yeah, I'm a Yumi too, but I live over there. Well, I don't like you. Well, I'm a Yumi too. Yeah, but I'm a different color than you is, by like a little bit. Well, then we gotta fight. So the whole thing about Blazing Saddles is it's all about this Yumi who becomes war boss of this town. He's a law boss because he's just like the Albites. He's trying to make sure that the law gets followed, that the rules is in place. But he's like a darker skin than the other Yumis, and like the Yumis that is there in this town that's supposed to get this new law boss is so stupid that they think he's not going to be good because he's a different color than they is. But he's way smarter than any of them is. So yeah, it's him being clever, it's him being smart, and then everyone else being really, really stupid. And that's pretty funny. Does that make sense? Is there anything else I need to say about that? But that's pretty much the whole movie. And there's also he's got a friend. So the sheriff is what the Yumis call black, even though he's not really black. He's more like a brown, and he makes a friend who's what the Yumis call white, but he's more like a kind of pinkish tan sort of thing. And they end up becoming mates, even though all the other pinkish tan Yumis don't like the brown Yumi, because they're stupid. But this one that he's friends with is smart. My favourite was Mungo though, because he would punch stuff, and he could take the Daka. Mungo was proper. Except I don't know why he didn't just crump everyone and become boss himself. Apparently he was too stupid to do that. Alright, let's take a look at the other questions. We're almost done. Machiavelli did that. We only got two more. We got one asked about the Black Plague, and then which is the most bestest orc war boss in the history of the orcs. Now that's easy. The most bestest orc war boss in the history of all the orcs is the Emperor. If it wasn't, or at least that's the only one I know of. Otherwise, I'd be following a different boss. The Emperor's clearly the best. If he weren't the best, then why would we keep following him? So, the thing about the Black Plague... Have I heard about mumbo jumbo? Isn't that just like nonsense? Just saying stuff that don't make sense. Yeah, I think the Emperor is probably the best. Alright, so the Black Plague. The Black Plague is this thing where lots of Yumis got sick. Lots of Yumis got sick and died. A whole lot of them. And you kind of see this thing. And then Yumis got really weird because they didn't really know what to do about it because they didn't know why they was getting sick. They didn't know what was causing being sick because it was a disease. It was what? It was called bubonic plague. Bubonic plague is it's a disease spread by fleas that's carried by rats. And the stupid Yumis didn't know that was what was spreading it. So they was trying to do all sorts of weird stuff to try to make it go away. Except the Yumis didn't have no weird boys, so they ain't have no warp magic to make it go away. So a bunch of Yumis was just stupid and they died, and that's kind of the whole thing. Is there anything else to the Black Plague? A bunch of Yumis got sick. They was too stupid to figure out why they was getting sick. For hundreds of years, they was too stupid to figure out why they was getting sick. And then they died. And then eventually the disease went away and then kept coming back, but not as bad as before. Yeah, the paid boys was too stupid to figure out how not to get sick. Alright. So, yeah. So that's all the questions. Did the Goths make the Black Plague? No, probably Nurgle did. Orcs don't fight by making Gets sick. You don't make Gets sick. If Gets get sick, they don't put up a good fight. What do you mean? What's that on me shirt? What do you mean what's on me shirt? Alright, Hawkins. Go ahead, Hawkins.
Yes, Professor, wasn't this after someone declared cats evil?
Look, Yumi said lots of different stuff. A lot of different stuff. But I think there's a bunch of Yumi cultures that thinks that cats is evil for some reason. And I don't know. That's a good point. Appreciate the education. Yeah, no problem. Let me question, have you ever heard of the Tin Boys? Yeah. The Tin Boys was... I ain't seen them recently, but I heard stories of them. That back in the day, orcs would make tin boys, which was metal boys what would walk around that looked like all of the other gets that the orcs would fight. So there were like Pansy tin boys and Yumi tin boys and all the different other gets that the orcs fought. And they was made to look really stupid because they supposed to look like, the gits. So yeah, I've heard of them. Ain't seen them around much. I think it's just better to kill gits than it is to, make fun of them. Or like build a whole, little stomper. Can orcs die due to boredom? Yes. If you take an orc and you lock it up and you don't let it fight, it will just die. If I don't get to fight, I will die. Just like if you don't get to eat or if you don't get to breathe, then you will die. If orcs don't fight, orcs don't live. That's the way of the orc.
Yeah, of course.
That's the way it is. Yeah, humans at the time of the Black Plague didn't know about bacteria or viruses or all, the sick causing gubbins. They thought diseases were warp magic and stuff. Except sometimes it is warp magic. The orcs need to breathe. Yes, we need to breathe. Cats are a kind of Yumi squig. They got teeth and they got pointy ears. They're covered in fur and they got claws. If an orc is born stupid, is it proper? Orcs is almost always proper. I think you got to learn to not be proper. If you're stupid and use an orc, you've got to be fighting, and that's proper. Usually you've got to be smart enough to think wrong things in order to be not proper and giddish. What about the git called Kierkegaard? I know a bit about Kierkegaard, but I don't think I'm going to talk about them until I've read more of their stuff. Because it's kind of confusing. Because Kierkegaard is a little bit like Nietzsche, but it's different. And I need to be able to talk about like how it's different. Because Kierkegaard is talking about some of the similar ideas to Nietzsche. But it's different. It's different, and I need to figure out how to talk about how it's different. Or decide if it's even worth talking about. If you could go to another dimension the Crump gets that isn't the warp, where would you want to go? I don't know. You got any suggestions? Pick. I don't need to... Like, there's a lot of times where Yumis will kind of sit around and they'll be like, if you could be anywhere in the galaxy, where would you be? If you could be doing anything, you would what? Where would you go? If you could have any power, what would it be? I don't really think like that because I am who I want to be and I am where I want to be. Except maybe I'm a little hungry or maybe I want to go fight. I don't really think like that. It's like, where else would I want to be? I'd want to be someplace where there's a fight and I could blow people up with me brain. Do ideas exist immanently or transcendentally? Define your terms or stop being a git. What do you mean? Ideas is a thing you made up. That's what ideas is. You had a thought about it, and that's an idea. That I don't know what your question is. Question: how come orcs call us humans Yumis, but the pointy-eared Eldar calls us monkey? Well, I feel like both is insults. I feel like the orcs is being nicer. It ain't about being nice. It's about what you is. And there's I wouldn't care about it so much. It don't matter the words. If you is proper, the things that people say about you, whatever words they want to make up or if they want to say it, if you is proper, it don't matter what words they use to try to make you sound not proper. That word will mean proper. Are ideas here or somewhere else? They're in your brain. They're not... I mean, some ideas come from someplace else. I mean, you got the warp. But the warp is made up of our ideas. No, I think your ideas come from your... Ideas are if you... So... When you first come into the universe, you don't really know much about anything. I mean, orcs do. We already know lots of stuff when the The second we pop out of the ground, we already know what we're supposed to be doing and we go do it. But the first time I ever had an idea, you look at something and you kind of understand how something works, and then you think of something. So ideas kind of come from observation of the universe, and then extrapolated stuff from your observations. That's basically what it is. I'll see something, and based on what I'm seeing, I'll think this thing. I think this is how it works. That's where all your ideas come from. It is assembling. It's looking at all the stuff you can see, or smell, or touch, or experience, and then you take it, and then you sort of put stuff into, you look at stuff in a new way. That's where it comes from. So an idea is like a chopper or a ducker. We both can access those kinds of proper tools. An idea is your brain interacting with stuff that exists and thinking about it. That's what it is. Professor, out of curiosity, how do you cure a cold? I think I got a Nurgle thing. If it's a Nurgle thing, you probably ought to, go on home before you get all the other humans sick. We don't need another Black Plague. What is the answer to life, the universe, and everything? Fighting and winning. Big git called Ayn Rand told everyone to be selfish. Didn't stop to think that only works for bosses. But if everyone tried to be the boss, you can't get boys together for a proper war. Yeah, that's pretty true. I'm thinking, I've been avoiding Ayn Rand, kind of for the same reason that I didn't want to do, what's his face, Karl Marx. But then I decided to talk about him. I think I might go back and do Ayn Rand. Because I know there's lots of boys that really like Ayn Rand, and then there's lots of boys that don't like Ayn Rand. And the big thing is that Ayn Rand ignores, or really, really doesn't seem to appreciate how important it is that humans really need to work together. Humans die if they don't work together. And if orcs don't work together, you can't have a war. Someone's got to be boss and someone's got to take over. And I don't mind if you got to bash heads to find out who's boss. But once you figure out who's boss, you lot got to work together. I'm just saying that you exist, and the only reason that you get along with other humans is because you both do stuff that... I don't think she understands how important it is for humans to get along. You can't just always go off and do the things that you want to do. I mean, sometimes you can, and you should if you want to be the boss. If you want to be the proper boss, do whatever you want. And maybe you'll die, and that's sort of fine. But if you want to be running off and not be with the boys, and use a weak, weedy boy, then you're just going to die. Smartboy, what can you tell us about these Aztec humans? They seem right and proper, some of the things they went for. Lots of fighting for gods and gods for fighting. Yeah, kinda. We don't know. There's some stuff about the Aztecs, but we don't know that much about them. But, because there was this lake, and there was a bunch of boys that lived around the lake. And the Aztecs showed up, and they was like, we're here, and we're gonna... And no one really liked them, because they was all fighty. And the humans don't really like to fight if they don't have to. But the Aztec boys was really fighty. And then all of the other lake boys said, no, you can't build your city here. No, you can't build your city here. No, you can't build your city here. And so the gods spoke to the Aztecs and told the Aztecs to build their city on top of the lake, which they did. And then they conquered all the other lake boys. And then they kept feeding their gods blood to make sure that they kept happy and so they could keep charge of this sort of lake thing. And then the Spain boys showed up and then got all the boys that didn't like the Aztecs, mobbed up with them, and then fragged the Aztecs good. It's more complicated than that, but the Spain boys zogged up the Aztecs pretty good. Let's see. If purple makes you sneakier, red makes you faster, yellow makes explosions, what happens when you mix them all together? Yeah, you kind of end up with you either end up with, someone says you kind of end up with brown. And I don't know what brown does. But if you you got yellow on your truck and you got green and you got red and you got purple, I think it usually just means that it doesn't do each one of the things all that well. It's not that sneaky. It's not that splody. It's not that fast. It's only if it's a little bit green, it's only a little bit the best. Could orcs make DACA from a lake? I don't know, is there DACA in the lake? Yeah, Yumis do fight. Yumis fight all the time, and there's some Yumi boys that like fighting, but most don't. Well, most of the Yumis that really like fighting haven't done any fighting. There are some Yumis that really like fighting, but not that many of them. Yeah, the Spain boys fought the Dutch boys, they fought the England boys. There's all kinds of different groups of Yumis that was scrapping with each other. It was kind of funny because it took a really, really long time for one Yumi to take over all of old Earth. What about the Fight Kings? The Yumi freebooters that lived in the cold places of Terra. Do you think the Imperium can learn anything from them? Do you think desire proper, that they're proper? I think that a lot of the ideas of the Fight Kings is pretty good because they was like, we're going to go out, we're going to fight, we're going to loot. They're kind of Death Scully. Also note that you got Zork Gorkson, he's one of the space squighounds, and he's kind of like the Vikings, just like the space wolves is kind of like the Vikings. But I don't think on those. I don't remember there being a really, really, really big scrap with the Vikings. Because they was mostly raiding. They started to kind of get more proper fighty when they settled down and became Normans. Like, I know the Normans invaded and conquered lots of stuff. And the Vikings took some stuff, but I don't know if they ever got into like a real big scrap. So I don't know about, I don't want to say bad stuff about the Vikings because I don't know that much about them. I know like bits of it, but I don't know, I know more about like their religion. And their gods seem pretty proper. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, fighting, looting, ain't no problem with that.
if you're a freebooter, that's what you're doing. But just like with freebooters, freebooters is kind of on the edge of a war, but they're like usually don't get a war built around freebooters because they looting. They ain't there for the really big fight. They sacked Paris. Like I said, I don't know. I know some of the stuff about Vikings, but I need to learn more about. Like I know mostly about their religion and some of the raids they did. And I can't remember them sacking Paris. But I ain't read everything. Have I ever heard of Gazgul Mag Urkthruk? Everyone's heard of Gazgul. Every greenskin knows about Gazgul. Gazgul is the biggest, meanest, fightiest orc. Now, is he bigger, greener, and fightier than the Emperor? I don't know. But the problem with Gazgul is he ain't never won. He's been fighting over Armageddon for a really long time, still ain't won yet. Gosh, a question. You think Doc is dumb and fists and choppers is the only way to fight a fight that's fun? Maybe I'm being harsh. What do you think about shooty things and such? I think it's really, really funny when you get a really big Daka shooter and you mow down Gits. Now, I appreciate getting stuck in as much as the next orc, but I also really like feeling the impact of the Daka as you're holding the shooter and you feel the recoil hitting you. Shooting is really, really fun. Have I ever heard of Snortius the First? No. Have I ever read Rousseau? I've heard of Rousseau, I ain't read him yet. Well, I don't think it's something to disagree with. I think Yumi's is too gittish. That's why I got a schoolie to teach him to not be gittish. What is you thinking about the gremlins? I don't know what gremlins is. Is they like grots? It sounds like a grot thing. Have I ever heard the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise? That don't seem like a story that the orcs would ever tell me. Alright, that feeling that the recoil and the splatter of the shells hitting the boys on the side, that's right and proper. Of course it is. Of course it is. Alright. Trying to figure if there's any other questions you lot got. I think I answered all of the things. Alright, so what I want you lots to do... Get that out of the way. I'm trying to get that out of the way. It won't go. Makes the thing pop up. Trying to find a place to put that thing. Alright, there we go. I got any more questions? Cronin the Cannon is my war boss. Yeah, I've heard of Cronan. I kind of lost track of that story. I gotta go listen up and get caught up on it. He was stomping Yumi's and he was looking like he was trying to take everything over, but there was someone who was a git who was backstabbing him. And I gotta find out who that was. What's the story about the holiday Halloweens? Alright, so Halloweens... So Yumi's is scared of stuff all the time. And what Halloweens is is it's Yumis dressing up like stuff that they think is scary, so that way they won't be so scary. That's a thing Yumis do a lot. If you look scary yourself, then you won't be scared of other stuff. That's the whole point of Halloween. That, and you go around and you threaten everyone to give you loot, or else you're going to do some looting yourself. That's why you say trick or treat. They got to give you loot, or else you's going to do something nasty to them. Who's the best Yumi warlord from the past, in my opinion? Probably Genghis Khan. He conquered the most boys. He fought the China boys when they was real strong. He ain't never lost, so... He ain't never lost till he took over the most stuff, so probably Genghis Khan. Alexander took over lots of stuff, but Genghis Khan conquered stuff for 20 years, and Alexander conquered stuff for 10 years. Do you think orange is the scariest colour? No. Why is orange scary? Alright, you got to take your leave for the day. Thank you for the education. Have a good crumpin' time next time. Have a good crumpin' time next time you're out crumpin'. I ought to have a good crumpin' time next time I'm out crumpin'. I'll be crumpin'. Can your sword be too big? If you can't lift it, it's too big. If the chopper is too big for you to use, then it's too big. Or you got to get it bigger so you can use it. Have I ever seen an orange orc? No. What's all this stuff about orange orcs? It sounds like orange is the colour of Halloween, the same colour as the pumpkins and the Yumis put up. I guess Yumis think it's scary. I don't know. Use here in the big brain school for small brain Yumis. Is you scared of orange? You still owe me a bunch of teeth to pay the doc after the time when you blew me up twice. Wait, did I just pay? Whichever one of you has a squawk box sitting on one of the desks, put that away. Turn it off. And thank you for the teeth, Natalie. Why do Yumis actually faces into a big orange fruit? Is it to worship a god or something? No, they're doing something that's scary. They cut scary faces into the pumpkin, so it's scary. Because Yumis think if I'm scary, then I won't be scared. That's the whole point of Halloween. Now, if you look at what it's technically about, because it's All Hallows Eve, and afterwards it's All Saints Day, and you're dealing with it's, and then it's All Souls Day. Yeah, it's also about like the dead. But as far as Halloween, with carving pumpkins and stuff, yeah, that's about being scary. Do I think they scare warp beasts? Well, ghosts? Yeah, probably. If you think that basically everything that you think shows up in the warp. So if you think that this thing is scary, then the things in the warp will think it's scary too, probably. I don't know, maybe. You was born on All Souls Day. Maybe was you born a dead boy is the question.
Well, happy birthday. It's coming up soon. What's this great aunt thing? It sounds like a Yumi ghost war. I don't know what you're talking about. All Saints here. We got what? Someone born on All Saints Day. Someone born on All Souls Day. We got anyone born on Halloween itself? Now I hope you lot is not celebrating no Halloween. That you lot is celebrating proper Oktoberfest. Oktoberfest is the only proper celebration right now. Right, I think I'm starting to get sidetracked. I've been going on, been yapping on for a bit. And my voice is starting to give out. I'll answer maybe a few more questions and then I think I'm going to call it. I think that orc boys act like Yumis. If I think that orc boys act like Yumis, would orc boys that act like Yumis show up in the warp? You gotta think like really hard. Like you have to, you know how you got the Chaos Boys, and it's like the things that Humies either really want or they're really scared of. That's because they're made of the strongest emotions that Yumis ever thought of. Now, if you thought of something like you just thought of it and you didn't like think about it or feel it really hard, I mean, I guess it exists in the warp, but who cares? It ain't big. What do you do for Oktoberfest? Fight? Beat Orky? Get stuck in? Shoot stuff? Break things? All kinds of stuff you could do for Oktoberfest. You're a commissar here and you're happy to tell me that Commissar Yorick is right behind you. I mean, I did invite Commissar Yorick to teach at me school for small brain Yumis, because he's not a small brain Yumi, he's pretty big brain. Maybe he finally took up the offer. That drink fungus brew is pretty good. I might go get myself a brew myself. I swear as I knows how to talk. I've been around too many small brain Yumis. I think my brain is leaking out of my ears. Alright, I think I am going to call it right here. My brain is not really working too much anymore. I need to go fight some stuff and blow things up with me brain powers. Can we paint the city green for Oktoberfest or maybe black for the Goths? I'm not. You can do whatever you want as long as as long as you don't get killed. I won't stop you from painting stuff green. That's a proper colour. Alright. Yeah, alright. So, your assignment, you lot need to think of proper Yumis. You lot find the Yumi that you think is the most proper, and I want you to write about why they're so proper in the comments below. Once this goes away, once this becomes, a recording, then you lot need to write down which Yumis is the smartest, most properest Yumis, and why you're going to try to be like them, and how that's going to help you do good in the Imperium. Alright, you got that? Alright, sounds like you lot got it. I think I'm going to get out of this